Hello everyone. In our last video we have got a random number from Chainlink Oracle services. In that video we have used this ready contract that is provided by the Chainlink to get that random number. The only difference that we made was that we adapted this contract to Phantom testnet because this contract is coming with girly testnet. So we changed some values and we made it for Phantom. And in this video again we will use the same contract. Now it's empty here, but we will now copy paste it here. We will use the same contract to get the random number. We will again adapt it to Phantom testnet, and once we get our random number, then we will pass it to our custom contract, which is called Apple here, so that we can use that random number inside our Apple contract. And we will see how we can get a random number from another contract. We will see how we can make those function calls. So I hope this is going to be a useful exercise, and we can now start it. And now, if you do not understand some steps that we are going to be doing right now, please watch my previous video, because if you do not understand, it means I have already explained it in previous video, and I'm going to put a link to my previous video in the description of this video. So now first let's copy this contract, paste it here, up here. Let's quickly change some values, delete this one and delete this one, because these two accounts, they are for girly coordinator, but we need a Phantom coordinator. So let's go this configuration. Let me show you configuration page of Chainlink, find Phantom testnet, Clayton, Avalanche. Is it this one? Phantom mainnet, Phantom testnet. Yeah, it's here. Copy this coordinator. Oops. Copy it and paste it here. And just a moment. Yeah, paste it here and here. Okay, these two places, and then go up quickly. Grab this key hash, delete it. Again, go to Chainlink, copy this key hash and paste it here. And here we will return two random numbers. It's fine. Here, I mean, inside the Chainlink contract they say words, but actually they are numbers. So we will get two random numbers. That's more than enough for us. And we will leave everything else the same, but only thing we change, we need to delete this only owner, because if we do not delete it, it means only the MetaMask account which will be deploying this contract can call this function. But obviously we want to call this function from this contract. So to make this possible, we need to delete this only owner, and we deleted that word. So that's it, nothing else. Let's now save it, wait for the compilation. Before deploying it, make sure you are on the injected provider, and inside the deploy input area we need to pass. I already assume you know how to do this subscription, so I will be just moving on it fast. Copy this 108, paste it, wait for the MetaMask prompt, and confirm. It's done. Now copy the contract address, go to subscription again, add this contract address as a consumer here so that it can consume our link tokens that we have allocated to our subscription. And if you do not know this, please watch my previous video. Wait for this. Let's close it. Wait for the page to refresh. It's done. I guess it's BAF2, but let's check if it is BAF2. Yeah, it's BAF. Everything is fine right now. Now we can create our Apple contract. So we need to create a variable which will store this contract here. Okay, so let's create our variable. So our variable is going to be type of this contract, obviously. And let's say public. You can name it anything. Let's say contract A. And here function. We need a function to set this contract A to this contract which is deployed at this address. Okay, set contract. Of course we need to pass this address, let's say outer contract, external, and here we will be again saying contract A is equal to, this is gonna be the type, and then we will need to use this contract address, but we can do it dynamically maybe, so I'm just going to be using those parameters, and that's it. By calling this function, I will be saving this contract inside this variable, and then I can use this variable to call the functions of this contract which we have deployed here. Now we can create the functions that we want. So first function, we will say get random. This is the main function, so we will say, and now let's say contract A dot. So let's find the function, the main function that we want to call is this one, because this function is going to produce those random numbers. So yeah, random words, and it doesn't take any parameters, and that's it actually. Now we produce our random numbers, we produce our random numbers, but we are not seeing them. To see them, first we need to fetch the request ID, because each random number set that is produced is coming with a request ID. So we need to first get that request ID, and then we will use this request ID to access our random numbers and to see them. Okay, so function get random, function get request ID. Oops. Again, no need for parameters, external we returns, and this request ID is a uint return contract A, and it's actually very easy to get that request ID. We just need to use these, where is it? Yeah, this variable here, because this variable is every time showing us the latest random numbers produced, because each time we click on this function it will produce us 2 random numbers and it will save them inside the struct variable. But let's say that it will save them inside a uint array, and this uint array also will come with a request ID. This uint array will be saved in a struct, and this struct will come with a request ID, because this request ID is a request ID that is saved in a mapping. But I should stop now, because if I'm going to explain this contract it will take us a lot of time. I have already explained it in my previous video. Okay, so now let's just copy this. And now actually we can see our random numbers. So we will say get random, but first let's say get random values. Why I'm saying values? Because actually the function that we want to call is this one. This function is returning us not just random number array, but also a boolean, which is saying that if our request was successful or not. So we will be saying the same thing, but maybe I can just copy these. Okay, because at the end what I want to return is the same as what this function is returning. That's why I am copying all of this. And here, as you can see, we are returning 2 variables. So I can just say fulfilled random words, and random words shouldn't confuse you. What we are returning is random numbers. This is an array of random numbers. Okay, and here it's equal to contract A dot, let's call this function get request status. Obviously it's taken a parameter, so we can pass this parameter here, uint underscore request ID. To get our random numbers we must know their request ID. Okay, if we know it, then we will be able to see them here. And as these variables, they are initiated inside the return statement, we don't need to use the return keyword here. and I guess this is also fine. Yeah, and now let's create another function, and in this function, instead of initiating them here, this time we will create the variables here. Why I am doing like that? Because what I want to return in this function is just the random number, okay? Because this function is returning us random numbers plus a boolean, but this time I don't want this boolean, okay? So I will just getting rid of this boolean right now, and I just want to return, because this is returning us an array, but I don't want all the random numbers, I just want the first one. So we will be doing it here. For that reason, just let's say uint, because what we will return is just one single random number. And now if I say return random words 0, this should be fine, you know. Now this function will return me the first random number that I have created by clicking on this function. This function produces random numbers. This function is giving us random number request ID, because we need this request ID to access our random numbers. And this function, they are doing the same thing in two different ways. By calling these two functions, we can see our random numbers, but we can maybe even make it more like useful. Imagine that we need a random number between 0 to 99. How we can do that? By using the random number that is returned to us by chainlink. So actually we can make a use of that random number that is returned to us by chainlink, because the random number that is returned to us by chainlink is 80 characters long, something like that. So maybe we can make it something useful. So here if I say get random numbers, let's say get mode. If I use modules here, it means I can get the thing that I want. If I use modules 100, it means that we will divide this number with 100, and whatever you divide by 100, the number that is left is going to be smaller than 100, obviously. So this means by calling this function, I can get a random number between 0 to 99, including 0 and including 99. I guess that's it. But is it? As it's giving me an error in, what's going on? Fulfilled. What's going on here? Function with the same name parameter types defined twice. Where? Yeah, get random values. So let's say get random values, get random number, let's say. Yeah, actually now it's fine. Let's save it. Now we have yellow warnings here because it says that we didn't use those booleans, and yeah, we didn't use, so maybe we can delete them, Let's say Control D, get rid of both of them, but do not forget this comma. Now we'll check how long it's been. 13 minutes. Okay, we are fine. We finished the contract. Now let's inject the provider. Let's check if everything is fine. Apple deploy. Yeah, we can now deploy. We can first compile it, of course. Now we can deploy it. Just wait. Confirm. Yeah, now here is our contract. So we will just copy these. We will copy the consumer contract, that is, or chainlink contract, and open the Apple contract here and paste this consumer contract address here, so that we can create our contract variable, which is pointing to this chainlink contract. You see, Phantom testnet is very fast actually. Yeah. Now let's check. BAF 06 BAF. Yeah, it's correct. Now get request ID. Nope. We need to call this function first, because this is going to produce the random numbers. Wait. It's done. And now get request ID. Let's call this to see our request ID. It's here. And now first, which one to call? Get random values. Get random values says this one. Let's copy this request ID and paste it here. Yeah, now it worked. For a moment I thought we made an error somewhere. Yeah, now it worked because it took some time, you know, for this get random function to save our random values inside that mapping. On the background it's doing a mapping operation, but of course we don't know that. So this is our random numbers. You remember we have requested to get 2 random numbers, and these 2 random numbers, they are saved in this array. So this is the first one, which is ending here. There is a tiny comma here, maybe you see it or not. So it works. Now let's again copy this. Let's call the second function that we have created, get random numbers. So obviously we need to get only the first number, and it works. You see 107, 107. This is the first random number. And let's call this method, which is interesting actually, because now we can make use of this random number. Well, you see, it returned us the number 99. This is totally a random number because it's like if you split this number with 100, you will get 99. So that's it. That's how you can build a connection between the chainlink contract and your custom contract, and use the random number from chainlink contract inside your custom contract. So see you next time. Bye bye.